No one knew who she was when she arrived at the blind date, dressed like someone who had lost everything. But the man before her, the most feared Korean mobster of all, felt the world stop the moment he saw her. In that silent instant, something impossible began, and nothing would ever be the same. Naomi Washington stood outside the upscale restaurant in downtown Seattle, staring at her reflection in the darkened window. The torn jeans with actual holes, not the fashionable kind, hung loose on her frame. Her oversized hoodie, stained with bleach marks from her cleaning job, swallowed her torso. She'd deliberately chosen the most ragged sneakers she owned, the ones with the sole peeling away from the canvas. Perfect. Her best friend Maya's voice echoed in her head. Just give him a chance, Nay. He's different. I promise. Different. They were always different. Until they weren't. Naomi had survived 3 years of hell after her ex-fiancé left her drowning in debt from his gambling addiction. She'd rebuilt herself from nothing, working 3 jobs to keep her head above water. She had no time, no energy, and definitely no patience for another man who would see her as a project, a conquest, or worse, a stepping stone to something better. So here she was, dressed like she'd just climbed out of a dumpster, ready to scare off whatever rich friend of a friend Maya had set her up with this time. She pushed open the door and walked inside, chin high, despite everything. The restaurant was the kind of place Naomi would never enter on her own. Crystal chandeliers cast soft golden light over white tablecloths and gleaming silverware. The host's eyes widened as she approached, his professional smile faltering as he took in her appearance. "I'm here to meet someone," Naomi said, her voice steady. "Reservation under Kang?" The host's expression shifted from shock to something like concern. "Of course, right this way." She followed him through the restaurant, hyper-aware of the stairs. A woman in a Chanel suit whispered to her companion. An elderly couple looked away quickly. Naomi kept her shoulders back, her expression neutral. This was exactly what she wanted, to be so off-putting that whatever man was waiting would take one look and leave. Then she saw him. He sat at a corner table, his profile sharp and commanding, even in stillness. Dark hair styled perfectly, an expensive charcoal suit that probably cost more than her entire year's salary, and an aura of absolute authority that made the air around him seem heavier somehow. As she approached, he turned his head toward her. Naomi stopped breathing. His eyes were the darkest brown she'd ever seen, almost black in the low light, and they locked onto hers with an intensity that felt physical. His face was all clean lines and strong features, high cheekbones, sharp jaw, lips pressed into a neutral line. A subtle tattoo curved along his neck just above his collar, barely visible but undeniably there. He didn't look shocked. He didn't look disgusted. He looked interested. "Naomi Washington." His voice was deep, with the barest hint of a Korean accent smoothing the edges of his words. "That's me." She slid into the chair across from him, waiting for the inevitable excuse, the fake phone call, the sudden emergency. "And you're Min-jun Kang." He extended his hand across the table. She shook it, expecting a brief, dismissive grip. Instead, his hand enveloped hers, warm and solid, and he held on for a moment longer than necessary, his thumb brushing across her knuckles before releasing her. "You look surprised," he said, leaning back in his chair with an expression she couldn't read. "I look homeless," Naomi corrected. "Let's not pretend otherwise." The corner of his mouth twitched, almost a smile. "Is that what you were going for?" "Obviously." "Why?" The question was so direct it caught her off guard. "Why do you think? This way we can skip the part where you pretend to be interested for 20 minutes before making up an excuse to leave. You're free to go now. Tell Maya you tried." Min-jun didn't move. Instead, he gestured to the waiter who appeared instantly. "2 glasses of the Chateau Margaux 2015 and bring us the tasting menu." "Right away, Mr. Kang." Naomi blinked. "What are you doing?" "Having dinner. With you." Those dark eyes held hers. "Unless you plan to leave?" She faltered, her carefully constructed plan crumbling. "You're not going to leave?" "No. But I can see what you look like." He leaned forward slightly, resting his forearms on the table. The movement made his suit jacket pull across broad shoulders. "I'm still here. The question is, are you brave enough to stay?" Something in his tone, challenge, amusement, genuine curiosity, sparked anger in her chest. Who was this man to question her courage? She'd survived poverty, betrayal, and near homelessness. She'd rebuilt her life from ashes. She'd scraped and fought for every single thing she had. "I'm not the one who needs courage," she said, her voice low and sharp. You have no idea who you're dealing with. That almost smile returned. Then tell me. The waiter arrived with wine, pouring deep red liquid into crystal glasses. Minjun raised his, waiting. After a moment, Naomi lifted hers. "Two unexpected encounters," he said. She studied him over the rim of her glass. Up close, she could see fine details. The way his dark eyes seemed to see everything, the slight scar at his temple, the perfect knot of his tie, the elegant watch on his wrist that probably cost more than her car. Everything about him screamed wealth and power. But there was something else, something darker lurking beneath the sophisticated surface. The way he held himself, perfectly still, but coiled like a spring. The way other diners glanced at their table, then quickly away, as if recognizing him and choosing not to approach. The subtle deference in the waiter's posture. This man was dangerous. Every instinct she'd honed, surviving 3 years on her own, told her that. So why was she still sitting here? "What do you do?" she asked. "Import and export. Various business ventures." His answer was smooth, practiced. "And you?" "I clean office buildings at night, wait tables during the day, do freelance bookkeeping on weekends." She watched for his reaction, daring him to judge. "Exciting, right? 3 jobs. That's impressive." "It's survival." "Yes," he said quietly, something shifting in his expression. "It is." The first course arrived, something delicate and artfully arranged that Naomi couldn't identify. She picked up her fork, hyper-aware of his gaze on her. "Why did you really dress like this?" Minjun asked as she took her first bite. Naomi set down her fork. "I told you. To scare you away." "That's not an answer, that's a method." He paused, swirling wine in his glass. "I'm asking about the why underneath the method." She wanted to deflect, to throw up another wall, but something about the way he looked at her, patient, genuinely curious, without pity, made her tell the truth. "Because I don't have time for games. I don't have energy for pretense. I can't afford to waste 3 months figuring out that someone isn't who they pretended to be." Her throat tightened. "I've been there, I won't go back." Minjun was silent for a long moment, those dark eyes studying her face. When he spoke, his voice was softer than before. "Someone hurt you badly." It wasn't a question. "Someone destroyed me," Naomi corrected. "But I built myself back up, alone, and I'll be damned if I let anyone close enough to do it again." "Then why come tonight at all?" "Because Maya is relentless, and I owed her." Naomi met his gaze directly. "Why did you come?" "My sister." "Equally relentless." The corner of his mouth lifted slightly. "She worries." "About what?" "That I've forgotten how to be human." The words hung between them, stark and honest in a way that felt almost intimate. Naomi found herself leaning forward, despite her better judgment. "And have you?" she asked quietly. Minjun's expression went carefully blank, but she caught something in his eyes, a flash of pain, of recognition, of something that looked almost like relief that someone had asked. "I don't know," he said finally. "Maybe you can tell me by the end of dinner." Before Naomi could respond, a man approached their table. Tall, Western, expensive suit, but something predatory in his smile. "Kang," he said, his voice carrying false friendliness. "Didn't expect to see you here." Minjun's entire demeanor changed. The almost warmth vanished, replaced by something cold and lethal. He didn't stand, but somehow his presence seemed to expand, filling the space with barely contained menace. "Morrison." The name sounded like a curse. "You're interrupting." Morrison's eyes flicked to Naomi, and his smile widened in a way that made her skin crawl. "I see. Expanding your interests? Leave." Minjun's voice was soft, but Naomi felt the threat in it like a blade against her throat. "Now." Morrison raised his hands in mock surrender, but his gaze lingered on Naomi for a moment too long before he walked away. The warmth didn't return to Minjun's face. Instead, he signaled for the check, pulling out his wallet with sharp, controlled movements. "We're leaving," he said. "What? Why?" He looked at her then, and Naomi saw something in his eyes that made her chest tight. Fury, and beneath it, something almost like fear. "Because I just put a target on your back," Minjun said quietly. "And we need to talk somewhere private. Now." Minjun's car was exactly what Naomi expected, a sleek black Mercedes with leather interior and tinted windows. What she didn't expect was the gun she glimpsed in the center console when he opened the door for her. Her feet stopped moving. "What the hell is that?" "Insurance." He followed her gaze, then looked back at her with an expression that was almost apologetic. "Get in, please. We need to go somewhere safe to talk." "Safe from what?" From the man who just saw you with me. Minjun's jaw tightened. Morrison is a rival. He'll use anything he can to get leverage. And now he's seen you. Naomi's heart hammered. What do you mean, rival? You said you were in import-export. I am, among other things. He stepped closer, his voice dropping. Naomi, I need you to trust me for the next hour. Then, if you want to walk away and never see me again, I won't stop you. But right now we need to leave this parking lot. Every rational part of her brain screamed to run, but she looked at his face, at the genuine concern there, the tension in his shoulders, the way he positioned himself between her and the restaurant, and found herself nodding. She got in the car. Minjun drove in silence through downtown Seattle, his jaw clenched, checking mirrors constantly. After 15 minutes, he pulled into an underground parking garage beneath a luxury high-rise. This is my building, he said, cutting the engine. My penthouse. No one gets up there without going through security first. Naomi's hands trembled slightly as she unbuckled her seatbelt. You're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. He turned to face her fully. Because I'm about to tell you the truth, and once you know it, your life gets complicated. Then maybe don't tell me. It's too late for that. Morrison saw you. He'll find out who you are by tomorrow morning. You need to know what you're dealing with. They rode the private elevator in silence. When the doors opened, Naomi stepped into a sprawling penthouse with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Seattle skyline. The space was masculine and minimalist. Dark furniture, clean lines, expensive art on the walls. Minjun shrugged off his suit jacket, revealing shoulder holsters with 2 handguns. He removed them carefully, setting them on a side table before turning to face her. Sit, he said, gesturing to the leather sofa. Please? Naomi perched on the edge, her body tense and ready to run. Minjun poured 2 glasses of whiskey from a crystal decanter, handing her one before sitting in the chair across from her. Maintaining distance, she realized, giving her space. My name is Minjun Kang, he began. I'm 35 years old. I was born in Seoul, but came to America when I was 8. My father ran an organization, a Korean crime syndicate. When he died 10 years ago, I took over. The words landed like blows. Naomi's grip tightened on her glass. You're a criminal. Yes. No hesitation, no sugarcoating. I run illegal gambling operations, loan services, protection rackets. I control territory. I have people who answer to me who do things that would horrify you. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, those intense eyes locked on hers. But I also have rules. No drugs, no human trafficking, no involving civilians. And I protect the Korean community here. Small business owners who get extorted by other gangs. Families who need help that the police can't or won't provide. That doesn't make you a hero. I never claimed to be. Minjun took a drink, his Adam's apple bobbing. Morrison runs the Irish mob in this city. We've had an uneasy peace for years, but he's been looking for an excuse to break it, to expand into my territory. And tonight, he saw me with you. He saw me looking at you the way I was looking at you. Which was how? The question escaped before Naomi could stop it. Like you mattered. His voice went rough. Like you were something precious I wanted to protect. Heat flooded through Naomi's chest, followed immediately by panic. We just met. You don't even know me. I know you wore torn clothes to scare away a stranger, because you've been hurt so badly you'd rather die alone than risk it again. I know you work 3 jobs to stay afloat, but you still have pride in your voice when you talk about surviving. I know you have fire in your eyes that hasn't been extinguished despite everything. He set down his glass, his hands clenching into fists. I know that in 35 years of living in darkness, you're the first person who made me wonder what it would be like to step into light. Naomi's breath caught. Stop. I can't. Minjun stood, running a hand through his perfectly styled hair, disrupting it. Believe me, I wish I could. This is the worst possible thing for both of us. You deserve someone normal, someone safe. And I need to stay focused, stay cold, stay in control. But from the moment you walked toward that table with your chin up and defiance in every step, something in me woke up. Something I thought was dead. This is insane. Naomi stood too, backing toward the elevator. I came to dinner. That's it. I didn't sign up for mob wars and danger, and you didn't. You're right, and I'm sorry. Minjun didn't follow her, didn't move closer. Tomorrow, I'll have someone make sure Morrison knows you're off limits. I'll put protection on you. Discreetly, you won't even know they're there. After a few weeks, when he loses interest, you can go back to your normal life. You'll never see me again. Naomi should have felt relieved. Instead, something in her chest clenched painfully at those words. Never see him again. What if I don't want protection? She challenged. What if I just want to forget this night happened? Then Morrison might approach you. He might threaten you to get to me. He might hurt you. Minjun's voice went deadly soft. I won't let that happen. So you're getting protection whether you want it or not. Consider it an apology for dragging you into my world. Your world. Naomi laughed, but it sounded slightly hysterical. 2 hours ago, my biggest problem was whether I could pick up an extra shift at the restaurant. Now I'm in a penthouse with a mob boss who has people following me for my own protection. Yes. The single word held so much. Regret, determination, apology. Naomi pressed the elevator button, then turned back to look at him. He stood in the middle of his expensive living room, his shirt slightly rumpled now, his hair mussed, his expression more raw and real than it had been all evening. He looked lonely, desperately, crushingly lonely. What you said before, Naomi heard herself say, about not knowing if you're still human. Do you want to know what I think? Minjun's throat worked. Yes, I think you're more human than you want to be. I think it hurts. And I think that's exactly why you shouldn't be alone. The elevator dinged. The doors opened. Naomi stepped inside, her heart pounding, her mind screaming that she was making a mistake. As the doors began to close, she saw Minjun take a step forward, his hand lifting as if to stop her. Wait, he said, his voice rough. Don't you want to know why I'm still sitting here? The words echoed what he'd said at the restaurant. A callback, a connection, an acknowledgement that something had passed between them that neither could quite name. The doors closed. Naomi rode down in silence, her whole body trembling. When she reached the lobby, she pulled out her phone to call a rideshare and found a text from an unknown number. My driver is waiting outside. He'll take you home safely. Tomorrow morning, you'll notice a black SUV on your street. That's your protection. Don't try to lose them. MJ. She should have been angry. Should have felt violated by the presumption, the control. Instead, for the first time in 3 years, Naomi felt something she'd forgotten how to feel. Safe. And that terrified her more than anything else tonight. 3 days passed. Naomi went to work, came home, tried to pretend life was normal. The black SUV was always there, just visible from her apartment window. She never saw the occupants clearly, but she felt their presence like a phantom limb, both comforting and deeply unsettling. On the 4th morning, she found a package outside her door. Inside was a new phone with a single contact saved, Minjun Kang. The note was simple. In case you need me, MJ. She should have thrown it away, should have blocked the number and moved on with her life. Instead, she kept the phone charged in her nightstand drawer and found herself looking at it every night before sleep. On the 7th day, Morrison made his move. Naomi was leaving her night cleaning job at 2 in the morning when a black sedan pulled up beside her. Not the SUV, a different vehicle, expensive and predatory. The window rolled down, revealing Morrison's smiling face. Naomi Washington, he said pleasantly. We didn't get properly introduced the other night. Her hand went to her pocket where the new phone sat. I have nothing to say to you. Of course not, but I have something to say to you. He opened the car door, standing up. In the dim parking lot light, he looked almost reasonable, if not for the cold calculation in his eyes. Minjun Kang is a dangerous man. Whatever he told you, whatever promises he made, they're lies. He uses people and throws them away. Like you wouldn't? Morrison's smile widened. Smart girl. You see the truth? We're all monsters in this game. The difference is I'm honest about it. So here's my offer. Tell me what Kang is planning, what territory he's looking at, what deals he's making. Feed me information, and I'll pay you more than those 3 jobs combined. You could stop breaking your back and finally breathe. Naomi's heart hammered, but she kept her voice steady. No. Think about it. Really think. What loyalty do you owe him? You had one dinner. I said no. She pulled out the phone Minjun had given her, her finger hovering over his contact. Leave. Now. Or I call him. Morrison's pleasant facade cracked. You think he'll protect you. He can't watch you every moment. And when he gets distracted, when he moves on to the next thing that catches his interest, you'll be left exposed. Alone. Vulnerable. She's not alone. The voice came from behind Morrison, and Naomi's breath caught as Minjun stepped from the shadows. He wasn't alone. 3 men flanked him, all with the same dangerous stillness. Minjun's face was a mask of cold fury, but when his eyes met Naomi's, something softened for just a moment. Are you hurt? No, I know what he just did. Minjun's gaze cut back to Morrison. You approached her directly. That breaks every rule we have. There are no rules anymore, Kang. Morrison backed toward his car, but his expression was triumphant rather than afraid. You brought her into this. You made her a target the moment you looked at her like she was yours. So now she's fair game. Everything happened fast. Min-jun lunged forward, but Morrison was already in his car, speeding away with a squeal of tires. Min-jun spun toward his men. Follow him. I want to know where he goes, who he talks to, everything. He turned to Naomi, and his voice gentled. Come with me, please. This time, Naomi didn't hesitate. They went back to the penthouse, but the atmosphere was different, charged with adrenaline and anger and something else that crackled between them, like electricity. Min-jun paced like a caged predator, while Naomi sat on the sofa watching him. I should have killed him, Min-jun said, his voice tight. The moment he approached you, I should have... And then what? You'd go to prison. Your whole organization would collapse. Naomi surprised herself with how calm she sounded. He wants you to lose control. Don't give him what he wants. Min-jun stopped pacing, looking at her with an expression she couldn't read. How are you not falling apart right now? I've survived worse than a rich gangster making threats. She stood, crossing to where he stood. I grew up in foster care, Min-jun. I've been hungry, homeless, hurt. I've rebuilt my life from nothing. One asshole in the expensive car doesn't scare me as much as it should. It should scare you. It scares me. He reached out, his hand hovering near her face but not quite touching. I can't protect you from him if you're just living your normal life. The SUV isn't enough. He's escalating. So what are you saying? Move in here. Temporarily. The words came out rushed, almost desperate. Just until this blows over. Morrison can't touch you in this building. My security is airtight. You'd be safe. You want me to live with you. Naomi's voice was flat, disbelieving. A man I met a week ago. Yes, that's insane. Everything about this is insane. Min-jun's control cracked, raw emotion flooding his voice. You think I planned this? You think I wanted to feel like my chest is caving in every time I think about something happening to you? I've been in this life for 15 years, Naomi. I've seen terrible things, done terrible things. I've been shot, stabbed, betrayed. Nothing has touched me the way one night with you did. Naomi's throat tightened. Why me? Because you're real. He finally closed the distance, his hand cupping her cheek with a gentleness that seemed impossible from someone so dangerous. Because you didn't pretend to be something you're not. Because when you looked at me, you saw a person, not a monster or a meal ticket or a story. Just a person. You are a person, Naomi whispered. A complicated, dangerous, infuriating person. But a person. Min-jun's thumb traced her cheekbone, his eyes searching hers. Stay. Not forever. Just until you're safe. What if I'm never safe? What if Morrison doesn't back down? Then I'll deal with it, whatever it takes. The intensity in his voice sent heat through her body. Naomi knew she should say no, should run back to her life and her safety and her carefully constructed walls. But something in her had shifted that first night, and she couldn't shift it back. Okay, she heard herself say, but I have conditions. Anything. I keep working. I'm not going to be locked in a tower. I'll have security with you, discreetly. I pay rent or contribute somehow. I won't be a kept woman. A smile, an actual smile, crossed Min-jun's face. You can teach me to cook. I survive on takeout. Despite everything, Naomi laughed. It felt strange, inappropriate given the circumstances, but also necessary. Deal. Anything else? She looked up at him, at the handsome face that was starting to become familiar, at the eyes that held darkness and pain and something that looked dangerously like hope. Don't make me regret this, she said softly. I'll try my best. His hand was still on her face, his body close enough that she could feel his warmth. Naomi. Yeah? Thank you. For trusting me. Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. He pulled it out, his expression darkening as he read the message. Fuck. What? Morrison just torched one of my warehouses. He's sending a message. Min-jun looked at her, conflict clear on his face. I need to handle this. Tonight. But I don't want to leave you. Go. Naomi stepped back, giving him space. I'm safe here, right? That's what you said. Yes, this building is a fortress, but then go do what you need to do. I'll be here when you get back. Something in his eyes flared. Gratitude, relief, and something deeper that made her heart skip. He grabbed his gun from the table, checking it with practiced efficiency. Lock the door behind me. Don't answer for anyone but me. Min-jun? He turned at the elevator. Be careful, Naomi said. The look he gave her was so intense, it felt like being touched. Now I have a reason to be. The elevator doors closed, and Naomi was alone in the penthouse of a Korean crime boss, having just agreed to move in with him to escape a mob war she'd stumbled into by wearing torn clothes to a blind date. Her life had officially become unrecognizable, and the terrifying part, she didn't want to go back. Naomi woke to find Min Jun sitting in the chair across from the guest bed where she'd fallen asleep, watching her in the pre-dawn darkness. His suit jacket was gone, his white shirt stained with ash and dirt, his hair disheveled, but it was his eyes that caught her, exhausted, haunted, and fixed on her like she was the only solid thing in a crumbling world. "You're back," she said, her voice rough with sleep. "I told you I would be. What time is it?" 5:30. He rubbed his face with both hands. "I didn't mean to wake you. I just needed to see that you were okay." Naomi sat up, pulling the blanket around her shoulders. "What happened?" "Morrison wants war. He made that clear tonight." Min Jun's jaw clenched. "The warehouse was just the beginning. He's hitting my operations, trying to draw me out, make me reckless." "Is it working?" "Yes." The admission seemed to cost him. "Because every move I make now I'm thinking about you, about keeping you safe. It's making me vulnerable." Naomi's chest tightened. "I should leave then. If I'm making you weak." "You're not making me weak." Min Jun stood abruptly, crossing to the window. The rising sun cast golden light across his profile. "You're making me human. There's a difference. But in my world, being human can get you killed. Then maybe your world is wrong." He turned to look at her, surprise flickering across his features. "What? Your world? These rules you all follow. Honor among thieves, respect through fear, power through violence. Maybe all of it is wrong. Maybe being human should be the point, not the weakness." Naomi stood too, moving closer. "You said your father ran this organization before you. Did he teach you it had to be this way?" "He taught me that survival requires ruthlessness, that caring about anyone makes you a target." "And are you happy, living like that?" The question hung between them. Min Jun's throat worked, his hands clenching and unclenching at his sides. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. "I was numb. For years. I did what needed to be done, made the hard choices, built an empire. And I felt nothing." He looked directly at her. "Then you walked into that restaurant and suddenly I felt everything. And it's terrifying." Naomi closed the remaining distance between them, her bare feet silent on the hardwood floor. "What do you feel right now?" "Like I'm standing at the edge of a cliff." His hand rose, fingers tracing the line of her jaw. "Like if I fall, I'll either fly or die. And for the first time in my life, I think flying might be worth the risk." "Min Jun." His thumb brushed across her lower lip, his eyes darkening with an emotion that made heat pool in her stomach. "Tell me to stop. Tell me this is a mistake. Because if you don't, I'm going to kiss you and there's no going back from that." Every rational thought in Naomi's head screamed warnings. This man was dangerous. This situation was impossible. Getting involved would only end in pain. But when had rational thoughts ever kept her warm at night? When had playing it safe ever made her feel alive? "Don't stop," she whispered. Min Jun's control shattered. He kissed her like a man drowning and she was air. Desperate, consuming, overwhelming. His hands framed her face, tilting her head to deepen the kiss, and Naomi's fingers clutched his stained shirt, pulling him closer. He tasted like smoke and whiskey, and something uniquely him. The kiss was both gentle and fierce, controlled and wild, a contradiction that somehow made perfect sense. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Min Jun pressed his forehead to hers. "This changes everything," he said. "I know. I can't be casual about you, it's not in my nature. If we do this, if we're together, I'll be possessive, protective, probably unbearable." Despite the intensity of the moment, Naomi smiled. "I work 3 jobs and dress like a homeless person to scare away dates. I'm not exactly casual either." He laughed. Actually laughed, and the sound was so unexpected, so genuine, that it made her chest ache. "We're a disaster waiting to happen." "Probably. Morrison will use you against me. Let him try." Min Jun pulled back to look at her, his expression shifting to something serious. "Naomi, I need you to understand what you're signing up for. I can't leave this life. My father's legacy. My people who depend on me, the territory I control. I can't just walk away. Which means danger will always be close. Always." "I grew up in danger," Naomi said quietly. "Different kind, maybe. But danger all the same. Poverty is dangerous. Racism is dangerous. Being a black woman alone in this world is dangerous. At least with you, I know what I'm facing. You shouldn't have to face any of it. Neither should you. But here we are. She reached up, smoothing his disheveled hair. So, what do? We survive. Together. He caught her hand, pressing a kiss to her palm. And I end this war with Morrison before it costs me the only good thing I've found in 15 years. Before Naomi could respond, his phone rang. Minjun answered it with a curt greeting, then listened, his expression going cold and lethal. When? A pause. How many? Another pause. I'm on my way. He hung up, already moving toward the bedroom door. I have to go. Morrison hit another location. This time he hurt people. My people, I need to go, Naomi said. Do what you need to do. Minjun hesitated at the door, looking torn. I just found you. Leaving feels wrong. I'll be here when you get back, I promise. He crossed back to her in 3 long strides, kissing her hard and fast. Lock the door, don't leave this penthouse, I'll have food sent up. Minjun? Yeah? End this. Whatever it takes. Because I'm tired of being afraid, and I'm tired of watching you go to war. Her voice strengthened. End it so we can figure out what this is between us. Something blazed in his eyes. Determination, possessiveness, and pure, fierce devotion. I will. I promise you. I will. He left. The penthouse fell silent. Naomi moved to the window, watching the city wake up below, and wondered how her life had transformed so completely in less than 2 weeks. Her phone, her old phone, rang. She almost ignored it, but the number was Maya's. Hello. Naomi, oh my God, I've been trying to reach you for days. Are you okay? I heard there was some kind of incident at your work, and then you weren't answering, and I'm fine, Maya. I'm safe. Where are you? Naomi looked around the luxury penthouse at the life she'd temporarily stepped into. Somewhere different. Somewhere complicated. Does this have to do with the blind date? With Minjun? Maya's voice went careful. Nay. What happened? Everything, Naomi said simply. Everything happened. Before Maya could ask more questions, Naomi heard shouting from outside the penthouse, muffled but urgent. Her blood went cold. Maya, I have to go. Wait. Naomi hung up, moving toward the door. The shouting grew louder, followed by a sound that made her heart stop. Gunshots. The penthouse security. Minjun said the building was a fortress, but fortresses could fall if the attack was strong enough. Morrison had found her, and Minjun wasn't here to protect her. Naomi's hands shook as she grabbed the gun Minjun kept in his nightstand. She'd seen him put it there the night before. She'd never held a weapon before, but desperate times called for learning fast. The door to the penthouse suddenly burst open, but it wasn't Morrison's men who entered. It was Minjun, wild-eyed and bloodied, with 3 of his people flanking him. Naomi! He crossed to her in seconds, hands running over her body, checking for injuries. Are you hurt? Did anyone get up here? No. I heard shooting downstairs. Morrison sent a team. They didn't expect us to be ready. His jaw clenched. I left people here, extra security, but he knew I'd left the building, knew you were alone. How did he know? He has someone inside my organization, a mole. Minjun's voice went deadly soft. Someone told him I was gone. Someone gave him access codes. One of his men stepped forward, a Korean man in his 40s with a scar across his cheek. Boss, we need to move her. This location is compromised. I know. Minjun looked at Naomi, conflict clear in his expression. I'm sending you away. Somewhere safe. Somewhere Morrison can't reach. No. The word came out firm, surprising even herself. I'm not running. Naomi, no. Listen to me. She set down the gun, stepping closer to him, despite the blood on his clothes and the danger crackling in the air. Running puts me alone. Running makes me a target he can track. But staying with you, being visible as yours, that makes me untouchable in a different way. Minjun shook his head. You don't understand how this works. If Morrison knows you matter to me, he already knows. That ship sailed the moment he saw us at dinner. Naomi grabbed his shirt, forcing him to look at her. So we don't hide it. We make it clear. I'm not some secret weakness. I'm yours. Completely. Publicly. And anyone who touches me answers to you. The scared man made a sound that might have been approval. She's right, boss. Running makes her prey. Claiming her makes her family. Our family. That's different. Nobody touches what's mine, Minjun said quietly, the words seeming to come from somewhere deep inside him. His eyes locked on Naomi's. Is that what you want? To be mine? In my world that means something. It means I protect you with everything I have, but it also means you can't leave easily. It means you're part of this life. Naomi thought of her torn clothes and 3 jobs and carefully constructed walls. She thought of the loneliness she'd carried for 3 years, the fear of being hurt again, the exhaustion of always having to be strong alone. Then she thought of Min Jun watching her sleep with haunted eyes, of his gentle touch despite his dangerous life, of the way he looked at her like she was both his salvation and his destruction. Yes, she said, that's what I want. Something fundamental shifted in Min Jun's expression. Possession, devotion, and fierce determination. He turned to his men. Spread the word. Through every channel, every contact, Naomi Washington is mine, under my protection, part of the Kang family. Anyone who threatens her threatens me directly. Boss, that's a declaration of, I know what it is. Min Jun's voice cut like a blade. Do it. Now. The men scattered. Min Jun pulled Naomi against him, his arms wrapping around her so tightly she could barely breathe. She felt him shaking. This powerful, dangerous man was actually shaking. I can't lose you, he whispered into her hair. I know it's too fast, too intense, too everything. But I can't. You won't. Naomi pulled back to look at his face. But Min Jun, this has to end. Morrison, the war, all of it. You said you'd end it. So end it. His jaw set. Tonight. I'm calling a meeting with all the families, Irish, Italian, Russian, everyone. I'm going to make Morrison back down, or I'm going to end him. Permanently. Is that dangerous? Extremely. Can you win? Min Jun's smile was sharp and cold. I've never lost before. I'm not starting now. He kissed her, hard and claiming. Stay in this building. I'm leaving my best people here. If anything goes wrong, nothing will go wrong. If it does, he continued, there's a safe in my office. Code is 821, my sister's birthday. Inside is money, documents, everything you need to disappear and start over. Promise me if things go bad, you'll use it. Min Jun, promise me, Naomi. I need to know you'll survive this even if I don't. Tears burned her eyes. I promise, but you're coming back. Yes. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. Because I finally have something worth coming back for. The meeting location was neutral ground, an old warehouse district that belonged to no one. Min Jun arrived with 20 of his best people, all armed, all ready. Naomi had wanted to come, but he'd refused, and she'd finally agreed after seeing the fear in his eyes. Morrison was already there, flanked by his own men. The other family heads sat around a makeshift table, Italian, Russian, Chinese, all the power players in Seattle's underworld, gathered to witness what would happen next. Kang, Morrison said, his smile sharp. Decided to face me finally? This ends tonight. Min Jun's voice carried across the warehouse. You've hit my operations, threatened my people, and worst of all, you went after someone under my protection. That breaks every code we have. The woman, Morrison laughed. That's what this is about. You're starting a war over a girl you met 2 weeks ago. That girl is worth more than your entire organization. Min Jun stepped forward, his presence commanding the room. And she's not the point. The point is you broke the rules, you made this personal. So now we settle it. Either we make peace, or one of us doesn't leave this warehouse. The other family heads shifted uncomfortably. The Italian boss, a woman in her 60s with steel-grey hair, spoke up. Morrison, you did break protocol. Civilians are off limits unless they're directly involved in operations. She lives with him, Morrison protested. Because you threatened her first. Min Jun's control cracked. I didn't bring her into this, you did. And now you're using outdated rules to justify breaking bigger ones. The Russian boss, a massive man with cold eyes, nodded slowly. He's right. You escalated first, Morrison. You owe reparations. Morrison's face flushed red. I owe nothing. Kang is weak. He's let a woman make him soft. He's not fit to lead his territory anymore. Then let's find out, Min Jun said quietly. He pulled off his suit jacket, revealing the shoulder holsters. 1-on-1, right now, last man standing takes all. The room went silent. This was old school, the kind of resolution that happened rarely but decisively. Morrison's eyes widened, then narrowed. He was bigger than Min Jun, heavier, with a reputation for brutality. But Min Jun had grown up in violence, and more importantly, he had something to fight for now. You're on, Morrison said, pulling his own gun. The fight was short and brutal. Morrison was strong, but Min Jun was faster, more controlled, channeling years of carefully contained rage into every strike. When it ended, Morrison on the ground, Minjun's gun pressed to his head. The other bosses watched impassively. "Mercy," Morrison gasped. "I yield." Minjun's finger trembled on the trigger. It would be so easy, so final. No more threat to Naomi, no more war, no more fear. But then he thought of the way Naomi looked at him, like he was a person worth saving. He thought of her saying maybe his world was wrong, maybe being human should be the point. He lowered the gun. "You leave Seattle, tonight. Take your operations and go. If I ever see you again, I won't show mercy twice." He looked at the other bosses. "Agreed?" They nodded one by one. It was done. Minjun walked out of that warehouse with his humanity intact and his future secured. And when he got back to the penthouse, Naomi was waiting, exactly as she'd promised. She ran to him and he caught her, lifting her off the ground in an embrace that felt like coming home. "It's over," he said into her hair. "It's finally over. I knew you'd come back." She pulled back to look at him, tears streaming down her face. "I knew it. I'll always come back to you, always." He set her down gently, then dropped to one knee. Naomi's breath caught. "What are you doing?" "Something crazy. Something too fast. Something that makes no sense." He pulled a ring from his pocket. His mother's ring, the only thing of value she'd left him when she died. "But when has anything about us made sense? Naomi Washington, will you marry me? Will you build a life with me despite everything I am and everything I've done?" She should have said no. Should have asked for time, for space, for rationality. Instead, she said, "Yes, absolutely yes." 6 months later, Naomi stood in the kitchen of their penthouse, teaching Minjun how to make her grandmother's mac and cheese. He'd finally stepped back from the day-to-day operations of his organization, putting trusted people in charge, while he focused on legitimate businesses, and on her. "You're burning it," she said, trying not to laugh as he frantically stirred the cheese sauce. "I'm not burning it. I'm burning it." He pulled the pan off the heat, sheepish. "How do you make this look easy?" "Practice. Lots and lots of practice." She moved behind him, wrapping her arms around his waist. "But you're getting better." Minjun turned in her embrace, kissing the top of her head. The expensive suits had been replaced with casual clothes more often than not. The constant tension in his shoulders had eased. He smiled now, really smiled, the kind that reached his eyes. "I was thinking," he said carefully, "maybe we could start looking at houses, something with a yard, room to grow." "Grow?" Naomi looked up at him, her heart skipping. "I know we said we'd wait, but I've never been good at waiting for things I want." His hand moved to her stomach, not yet showing but holding their future. "And I really want this. With you." Naomi hadn't told him yet. She'd been waiting for the right moment. But looking at his face, at the hope and love and utter devotion there, she realized every moment with him was right. "How did you know?" "You stopped drinking wine 2 weeks ago. You've been tired. And you get this look sometimes like you're holding a beautiful secret." He grinned. "Plus, I'm an observant person. It's kind of my thing." She laughed, tears streaming down her face. "We're really doing this? The whole thing? Marriage, baby, normal life. There's nothing normal about us." Minjun kissed her, soft and sweet and full of promise. "But yes, we're really doing this." Outside, rain fell on Seattle. Inside, in a penthouse that had once housed only loneliness, 2 people who had found each other against all odds started building something impossible, a future together. And it was enough, more than enough. It was everything.